We are now at part 8 of this trek through New York City. There's the Empire State Building in the distance, the blue spire. We're on First Avenue. We're going to see some interesting things here on First Avenue, believe it or not. This particular segment only covers First Avenue, but I assure you, you're going to see something interesting along the way. So we are on the very First Avenue on the east side of Manhattan. Now, for those who are uninitiated, avenues are long roads, whereas streets are not. And New York has 12 avenues that go down the length, well, much of the length of the city from end to end. And those avenues are cradled by 2 parkways. On the west side is the Hudson Parkway, which is on the Hudson River, and on the east side is the Roosevelt Parkway, which is on the East River. We could not take the East River path the whole way around, so we jumped in somewhat because the the Roosevelt Parkway at one point actually is right on the water line. There is nothing physically between it and the water line, just that part. So there's no road or bike path for us to skate on, so we had to come in to First Avenue. But that's cool because we're going to see something interesting anyway. Oh, by the way, up here on the right is the United Nations building. Now, if you look to the left, those tall buildings, those are tall hotels. I think one of them is like the Millennium. I actually stayed there once, and that's where many of your dignitaries will stay. I just happened to come at a time of the year that was not as high traffic, so the rates were lower. I think I got it for a cool $400 a night. But we had a good view of the Chrysler Building, which is off to the left there, but you can't see it in this darkness. Yeah, the Chrysler Building doesn't do lighting like the Empire does. Now, if anybody knows the story between the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building, they were both being built at the same time in the late 1920s. And 1929, I believe, was the year of the crash. And the Empire State Building was actually in better condition for making money than the Chrysler Building because they had been renting out space, leasing out space ahead of time, whereas the Chrysler Building had not. So it really struggled to do well because of the 1929 crash and not having any tenants. So what are we going to do here? Why is this? What's going on with us, if you're wondering? Well, we're about to go through a tunnel. And everybody's getting excited, you know, ooh, wahoo. And it's kind of cool because, you know, you're going to have some bright lights here. You're going to see us, you know, blowing out. I start to pass everybody, and then I realize if I pass everybody, then I've got nobody on film. So I try to get right in the middle of everybody and stay there. So here I am, kind of, you know, breaking free. Everybody's excited, ooh ah. It is cool. It is a nice feeling to have one of these tunnels to yourself. Believe it or not, many years ago, the Big Apple Roll actually had an escort through the Lincoln Tunnel. Can you imagine skaters skating through the Lincoln Tunnel? That happened. And if you look hard enough, you might find that on YouTube somewhere sometime. I don't know if it's on YouTube. I found it from a Facebook friend, so that was like within my own little sphere. You can see here I am slowing down, trying to let people pass. So if you're watching on 360, you can kind of get a good view of everybody. And here we are. And this is First Avenue. And what this does is it allows us to get out of the way, I believe, of the Queensboro Bridge. Actually, let me walk that back. The Queensboro is up ahead. Right to the right, directly to our right now, is the United Nations. If you look to the right, that big building there with the lights on, or a few lights on. That is the United Nations building. That's the United Nations headquarters. And all of this to the right is not United Nations until we get down here to 48th Street. So that was the First Avenue tunnel, if I remember correctly. And we are essentially at Midtown, but, well, we would be at Midtown if we took a left. Again, we're right about 48th Street. There's a number of things here that you'll see, like there's a Trump World Tower on the left. We're going to pass the German consulate as well on the left. And we're going to come down First Avenue far enough that we can start to kind of break in towards Central Park, or break left towards Central Park. So we're roping around Midtown because we're going to come back down through Midtown to Times Square at the end here. So we're going to head uptown for a bit through Central Park and come back down into Midtown. This video series will end at Times Square. I had some camera issues, whether it was battery or running out of space, I couldn't tell you, but get you as far as Times Square, which, you know, it's a good place to end. All right, we're just about finished. Another 7 minutes. These skates take almost 2 hours. I think I've cut out a few things, so you're not going to be with me for a full 2 hours if you watch all these videos, but it's, you know, I'm trying to give you a real-time experience here by walking you through the entire thing. And this is early in the season. There's usually so many more skaters. All right, next series coming up. We're going to get you to Central Park.